Hi everyone, Mr. Recorder here, ready for another test prep adventure. Josh needs to hire a plumber. Plumber A charges a $40 fee plus $20 per hour for labor. Plumber B has no upfront fee but charges $30 per hour for labor. Complete the table below and write a system of equations to express the costs of the plumbers. How much is the hourly labor charge? So for plumber A, the hourly labor charge was $20. For plumber B, the hourly labor charge was $30. If H is the number of labor hours, what is the total cost of labor? Well, you just do the $20 per hour times H, the number of hours, for plumber A and for plumber B. How much is the upfront fee? For plumber A, the upfront fee was $40. Ding. And plumber B has no upfront fee, so $0. Write an equation where C equals the total cost of the plumbing job. So for plumber A, it's $20 an hour plus a $40 upfront fee. So the cost would be 20 times H plus 40. For plumber B, there's no upfront fee, but it's just $30 per hour, so the cost is going to be 30 times H. Now we're going to identify the slope and y-intercept for each part of these equations. And then we're going to graph both of them. So for plumber A, the slope is 20, and the y-intercept is 40. So remember, this is just because it's in y equals mx plus b format, slope-intercept, where the slope is the number in front of x, and the number added onto the end is the y-intercept. So our slope was 20, and our y-intercept was 40. For plumber B, our slope is 30, and our y-intercept is 0. So now it's time to graph. We always begin with B, our y-intercept. So for plumber A, our y-intercept is at 0, 40. And now our slope is 20, which is 20 over 1. And we think about this as rise over run. So we're going to go up 20 when we go over to the right 1. So we're going to go up 20 from 40 up to 60 when we go over 1. And then we keep repeating that. Up 20 over 1. Up 20 over 1. Up 20 over 1. And once we get a bunch of points there, we can draw a line through them. For plumber B, our y-intercept was 0. So we're going to have our y-intercept at 0, 0. And our slope was 30, which is up 30 over 1. So we'll go from 0 up to 30 when we go over 1. We go over 1 more, we're going to go up 10, 20, 30, over 1, up 30, over 1, up 30, and we draw our line through those points. And nice enough, they intersect at a point we know. So based on the graph, at how many labor hours would both plumbers charge the same amount? So at 4 labor hours, we see that our lines cross. So at 4 hours, they're both charging $120. So based on your graph, how many hours would they charge the same amount? That's at 4 hours. And now let's solve the system algebraically. Well, we can use substitution here. Since 30h equals c, we can plug this 30h in for this c over here. And now we just need to solve for h. So I can subtract 20h from both sides of the equal sign, because that will get rid of the h's on the right side of the equal sign. 30h minus 20h is 10h, and that equals 40. Divide both sides by 10, and I get h equals 4, which is nice because hours equals 4, and that goes along with what the information on our graph told us. So now let's describe what our answers from part 3 and 4 tell us. Well, part 3 and 4 tell us, for one thing, that the solution to the system of equations is 4, 120. What does that mean? That means that after 4 hours, both plumbers would charge $120. Verify that your answers are correct. Well, how about what is the cost for plumber B after 4 hours? So 30 times 4 is 120. And for plumber A, it's 20 times 4 hours plus 40. 20 times 4 is 80. 80 plus 40 is 120. So they both work out. Now, if Josh thinks the job will take about 8 hours to complete, which plumber should he choose and why? Well, here's 8 hours. If I follow 8 hours up, it looks like plumber A would be about $200, and plumber B would be about $240. So I would go with plumber A because you're going to save about 40 bucks. All right, number 2. Use the substitution method to solve the system of equations. So the substitution method means we're going to take something that y equals and we're going to plug it in for y in the other equation. So I know that y equals x plus 3. So I'm going to take this x plus 3, I'm going to plug it in for y in that equation. So that I get x plus 3 equals negative 3x minus 5. And now I need to solve for x. I have x on both sides right now. So I'm going to get x all onto one side. And I'm going to do it by adding 3x to both sides. The reason I'm adding 3x is because I have negative 3x over here. And if I add 3x, then I'll end up with positive x's. Over here, negative 3x plus 3x is 0. So on the right side, 0 minus 5 is just negative 5. And on the left side, x plus 3x is 4x. And then we still have plus 3. Now that my x is all on one side, I need to get rid of all the stuff that's around it. And it's multiplied by 4, and 3 is added on. It's easier to get rid of adding and subtracting before we get rid of multiplying and dividing. So the opposite of plus 3 is minus 3. So I'm going to subtract 3 from both sides of the equation. And 3 minus 3 is 0, so I just have 4x left on the left side. Negative 5 minus 3 is negative 8. Now I got 4 times x. The opposite of multiplying by 4 is dividing by 4. So I'm going to divide both sides by 4. 4 divided by 4 is 1, and 1 times x is just x. And negative 8 divided by 4 is negative 2. So I have part of my solution. I know that x equals negative 2. So what I can do now is I can take this x equals negative 2, and I can substitute the negative 2 back in for x in one of my original equations. I'll use the first one because it looks a little easier. Y equals x plus 3. But I'm going to substitute the negative 2 in for x. So now I get y equals negative 2 plus 3. Negative 2 plus 3 is 1. So now I have my solutions for both x and y. And my solution I need to write as an ordered pair. And ordered pairs always go parentheses x comma y. So my x value is negative 2 and my y value is 1. So there is my solution to that system. Now part 2 is to graph these and label the point where they cross and see if we don't find out something interesting. Well, for the first equation, the y-intercept is 3. So on the y-axis I'm going to put a point at 3. And then my slope is 1. Because 1 times x is x. And that's 1 over 1. So that means I'm going to go up 1 and when I go over 1. up 1, over 1, up 1, over 1. And then I can draw my line through those points. For the second equation, the y-intercept is -5. So that means I'm going to go down 5 and draw a dot. And my slope is -3, which is -3 over 1. So that means when I go over 1, I have to go down 3. And then if I go over 1 again, I go down 3, but wait, that puts me off the map. So what can I do? If I go to the left 1, I go up 3. So if I go to the left 1 again, I can go up 3 again. Left 1, up 3. And now I can draw a line through those. And then isn't it interesting that the point where they intersect is -2, 1. So we found graphically that these two lines intersect at the point -2, 1. And then in the last part, we found algebraically that this is the solution to the system. Number 3. A watercraft rental company offers 2 combo packages. Package A offers a 2-hour wave runner rental and a 4-hour speedboat rental for $560. Package B is a 6-hour wave runner rental and a 4-hour speedboat rental for $800. Let's define variables. The variables are the things that we solve for. So what are we solving for? We're solving a system of equation to find the hourly costs for each rental. So the hourly cost for a wave runner, we'll call that W, and let the variable W represent the hourly cost of a wave runner rental. And then for the speedboat, we'll call that B for boat, and let B represent the hourly cost of a boat rental. Now, using the variables we just defined, we're going to write and solve a system of equations to find the hourly cost for each rental. So, a 2-hour wave runner rental, so 2 hours times W, the cost of a wave runner rental, plus a 4-hour speedboat rental, so 4 hours times B, the cost of a speedboat rental, equals $560. And then a 6-hour wave runner rental, so 6W, plus a 4-hour speedboat rental, so 4B, equals, that's going to cost $800. Now, how can we solve such a crazy thing? If we look at here, we got 4B and 4B. So if we were just to multiply the top equation by -1, then we would get our B variable to cancel out. So -1 times 2W is -2W. -1 times 4B is -4B. And -1 times 560 is -560. Now if we add these equations, 6W and -2W is 4W. 4B minus 4B is 0. And 800 minus 560 is 240. And now to find W, we can just divide both sides by 4. And we get W equals 60. Now we could take that value and plug back into one of the original equations. I'll just take the first one because it has smaller numbers. 2 times W, which we know now to be 60, plus 4B equals 560. 2 times 60 is 120. We subtract 120 from each side, and we get 4B equals 440. Divide both sides by 4, and B equals 110. So what is the meaning of these solutions that we found? $60 an hour for a wave runner, $110 an hour for a speedboat rental. Why don't you take a little break, relax, and join me in a few minutes for part 2. Hooray for math!